Sierra Simone deserves jail time for this one. Hi. Hello, how are you? Welcome to this channel. One thing you probably don't know about me, definitely if you've never been here before, and maybe if you know me from somewhere else I won't name, I love romance novels. I really love them. I love the corny ones. I love the campy ones. I love the weird ones. I just love romance as a genre. And because I'm constantly reading a romance novel, I'm always in the middle of one. You know, I've read a fair few of them, and I've read a few that just kind of had the energy of like, huh? Like, do you know anatomy? Did you write this while inebriated? What happened here? And I've never had anybody to share that with. And now I have you to share that with. You're welcome in advance. Okay, so we're talking about a book called Misadventures with a Professor by Sierra Simone. Now, I've read a couple of Sierra Simone's books, and I thought they were pretty good. I think that she's a pretty good writer. She can really write some smut. I'm just going to put that out there. Sierra Simone, she knows what she's doing. When I saw that it was written by her, I was like, oh, this is going to be great. But let me walk you through the plot of this book, and we're going to experience it together, and then I'll give you my rating. So our main girl is Zandy Lynch. Zandy with a Z, Zandy Lynch. That's her God-given name. We're off to a great start. Zandy is really struggling with the idea of being an old spinster and still a virgin. Like, she's really bothered by this. She literally says she doesn't want to be a virgin nerd and a librarian spinster because she wants to go to library school. But she's 22, okay? This 22-year-old spinster has never been laid before. Okay, nerd. So she's about to go to grad school. Her dad, who's some type of professor, gets her a research assistant position with one of his like old friends in London or whereabouts in England. Thanks, Papa. And she's thinking, I'm about to spend my entire summer with one of my dad's old stuffy research friends. And this is my only chance. I'm going to go out on this one night in London and get dick down. That might get the community guidelines against me, but I just really think that's a hilarious phrase, is dicked down. So she has one night to find herself a hot British man who is willing to help her lose her V card. Like, this is a very big deal for her. And Zandy is a total nerd, so she has a full ass plan, like an itinerary of how this night is gonna go. Like, she's prepped. So she's in London and it's pouring rain. Our girl Zandy prepped everything except an umbrella. She thought of everything that could go wrong, but she didn't plan for the weather. Okay, Zandy. As she's running down the street, which I imagine are cobblestones. I know that not everywhere in London looks like that, but she's running, okay? She even takes off her heels so she can run faster. She wants to get dry. She runs into a hot British man. It's the meet cute alert. Oh, and if you couldn't already tell, Zandy is thirsty. The first thing she does when she meets this man is watch the rain fall off his lips. And he notices, like, girl, chill. But of course, this man is scowling and bad-tempered. Don't we just love a Mr. Darcy type? But he seems to not be grumpy at this moment in like a cute way. Like, he says that her shivering is making her words come out like stuttered, and he finds that overwhelmingly annoying. He clearly does not like her, but he keeps checking her out, looking her up and down. So Okay, one thing about Zandy that I like is that she has no filter and she just says what's on her mind. And I don't mean in the same way that those people who are like, I'm not mean, I'm just honest. You know, those assholes. I mean in the way that when he asks her, what the heck are you doing out in the pouring rain? She just says with a smile, oh, I wanted to find a man to sleep with. And this British man she's talking to is like, excuse me? This is a quote. I need a willing man with a, we're going to say eggplant. If you guys have any better ideas, please drop them below. We're going to have to come up with a lot of different ways to say, you know, pen 15, you know? Oliver, to his credit, is like, oh my God, let me save this reckless girl from herself and get her to safety. Because this is not a safe plan. Zandy, it's not safe. I don't care how much research you did. This is dumb. And he wants to take her back to her hotel. Oh, they're staying in the same hotel. What a serendipitous occasion. And of course, Zandy immediately sets her sight on Oliver. Never underestimate a thirsty type A girl with a plan. She was determined and she wasn't going to give up. But Oliver says, yeah, no, I'm getting out of here. Zandy literally chases after him, chases him down the street in the pouring rain, begging him to do the hokey pokey with her. Couldn't be me. She asks, okay, well, are you married? Do you have a girlfriend? And he says, no. And she says, okay, well, am I not attractive to you? And he also says, no, it's not that. And the confidence that she possesses, she was like, okay, well, I don't see the problem here. Let's smash. Like she didn't actually just hear him say the words, no, absolutely not, and walk away. First of all, Xandy, boundaries. Second of all, is she immune to rejection? It doesn't bother her? I would like to know. So she's following him back to their hotel and she's literally begging him, saying, please, please do this for me. Ladies, anybody, babies, gaybies. No man is worth begging them No man is worth you begging him to sleep with you. Know your worth, Xandy. And when he says no again, she says, fine, I'm gonna go out again, like a little kid. Well, we find out he might be into discipline. And that's the final straw for him. He's like, no way, you're not going anywhere. And he says, and I quote, girls who disobey need to be punished. My God! Oliver, that's filthy. But Xandy can't keep her mouth for 1 second. And she says, are you a serial killer or are you just kinky? Which, I mean, honestly, that's a fair question. But Oliver is so horrified by the fact that she just said the word kinky, like out loud. He is clutching his pearls, like, you can't just say that. But anyway, things start to get hot and heavy in the elevator all the way to her room. That's all I'm going to say. Oh, and she tells him that her name is Amanda, which is not a lie. That's her full name because she thinks it's more sophisticated sounding, which anything would be more sophisticated sounding than Xandy. And Oliver introduces himself as Oliver Markham, which is also just like a very British name. Like I couldn't think of a more British name, but we do find out that Xandy likes to be a good girl. Like she genuinely gets offended when he says that she's been a bad girl, which I thought was kind of funny. And Oliver likes to play the professor-student game. Okay, I can also get behind that. But I have a gripe. Just like every other book that includes a female character losing her virginity, she talks about searing pain. Searing pain. What? She literally says she feels like she's being split open. Why? That's not... It doesn't have to be that way, Xandy. But in a twist that I wasn't expecting, the next morning, Oliver wakes up in her room. Xandy peaced out. Xandy made Oliver do the walk of shame the next morning. That, I did not expect that. Kind of iconic, honestly. So she travels to the countryside to start this research assistant position for the professor, but he's not there yet. Like he's out of town. So she's in his house alone for the weekend. That seems kind of weird, but okay. She's chilling with her cat. Her job doesn't start until that Monday, but she's just trying to stay busy without thinking about Oliver because... But one night she's bored and she decides to tidy up the study. But oh no, she's just wearing a thin camisole and sleep shorts. And who walks in? Oliver Markham. Did we see this coming? I did because it was in the Audible description. They really just took that plot twist out of it for me. But did you guys see it coming? Are you surprised? Are you? And this is one of the funniest parts because he's like... I'm already giggling. He's like, Jesus Christ, this girl is stalking me. And Xandy starts screaming, I'm calling the police. It's very funny. But anywho, they didn't really lie about their identity. Oliver Markham is his mother's maiden name or his middle name or something. His last name is Graham. And Amanda Lynch, he knew that his friend's daughter was going to be his research assistant, but he was expecting a Xandy, which is a very unique name. So, oopsie. What are the odds? But Xandy did expect Professor Graham to be an old man. Not only because he's one of her dad's friends, but because he lives in this old cottage. There's slippers by his bed, which is very old man behavior. And like old art and a very old cat. It's just giving very old vibes. But he's not. He's young and hot because I guess he met Xandy's dad when Xandy's dad was his professor in college or something like that. Anyway, but he knows this would be entirely inappropriate to work together. So he's like, you gotta go home. But Xandy begs to stay because of course she does. And she promises to be a good girl. And Oliver's like, yeah, whatever. But she's really jazzed about archiving old documents or whatever. Something nerdy. Also, Xandy goes to make a cup of tea in the microwave and Oliver is outraged. If I know anything about the British, you make a cup of tea with the kettle. You do not put that shit in the microwave. Like some barbarian, Xandy, God. Now, they spend the next week building this weird, grumpy, sexual tension. It's kind of weird. But remember that the book says that they spend the next week in this place. This is very important for the timeline. Finally, Xandy knocks over a pile of books on accident because, like every manic pixie dream girl, she's also clumsy. And Oliver's like, that's it. They do the deed over his desk. I don't know why that was the moment for him. I don't know. That triggered something in him, and they have relations in his study. The next morning, though, he's back to his old, it was a mistake. It's inappropriate. We cannot. And Xandy's heartbroken because he's the best D she's ever had, even though I really want to remind her that he's the only D she's ever had. Anyway, she finds a note from someone named Rosie in an old book, and it's to Oliver, presumably an old lover. And Xandy just throws at him, and she's like, should I expect any other notes, or do you want me to set them aside for you? And he just glances at it and he says, throw them away. I don't want to see them. So we don't know what's going on there, but we find out soon. And he continues to ignore Xandy, but Xandy, being the bold bitch she is like, I'm gonna go out and find myself another man. This is her thing. Okay, girl, do your thing. And she meets this guy at like a nearby pub, and he's genuinely cute and nice and interested in her. But while he's chatting her up, Oliver shows up and he's pissed. He takes her home. He's furious. We find out that he is deeply ashamed of what he likes in bed. Look. Maybe I've read a few too many romance novels so that I'm now desensitized and my brain is mush. But I don't think a little professor-student thing is that depraved. So this like deep inner turmoil that he is having over how like depraved and delinquent his mind is, just, it seems a little silly. It's a little silly, Oliver, don't you think? I would crush this against my head if I could. But anyway, they do the deed in the bushes. And then we find out who Rosie was. Rosie was Oliver's professor. I was genuinely shocked. I thought Rosie, because he keeps bringing her up, Rosie was going to be like his former student. Like maybe there was some scandal. But no, she was his professor. And then she got pregnant while they were together. And then she was like, I need a paternity test. Girl had been cheating on him the whole time. But he was in love with her. Like they were together for years. But then she just berates him for being a, quote, degenerate pervert. Girl, please. This probably says way too much about me, what I'm about to say. But I have read far more depraved, perverted things in romance novels. This is so tame. So tame. But okay, Oliver, you are entitled to your own feelings and your experience. Yeah. You can have that. Luckily for Oliver, the baby wasn't his. So that was kind of a relief, but the breakup did break him. And he was celibate for like years. Like it's been like 5 years. Anywho, so they play more games, games. And Xandy is like, oh my God, I'm in love with him. Timeline check. It's been 10, maybe 11 days since they met. 10, 11 days. I listened to this book and then I purchased the Kindle version so that I could also go back and check that I got my timeline right because it gets wild. Oh my God. I have to say this. I almost forgot. Oliver calls Xandy girl occasionally. Like, hold on, girl. I know, girl. Oh, it just reminds me of a horse or like a dog. Oh, it's so bad. I don't know why. He does it more as the book goes on. No, thank you. No. So if you've ever read romance novels, a thing that authors do is they have to come up with new creative ways of talking about genitals. They have to figure it out, right? And sometimes they do it in a really funny way, like velvet wrapped steel. I don't know which author started that one, but that's just kind of a running joke. Like, why are we calling it that? But I guess if we have so much smut, we gotta keep it interesting. But Sierra Simone deserves jail time for this one. I'm gonna have to read this out loud. Taking the delicious organ into my mouth. Delicious organ. Oh my God. That might be the worst one I've ever read. I hate that so much. Oh, my skin is crawling. I have goosebumps, but like in the bad way. Also in the same chapter, she says again that she feels like she's being split open by... Is this video doomed? How am I supposed to follow the community guidelines? Split open by his colossal erection. Girl, look, this might just be me, and who am I to kink shame? But I just have to say, I don't find the concept of being split open very appealing. Oh, no. But the next chapter starts with 10 days later. So we're looking at 20 or 21 days here since they met. Also, they've been doing the hokey pokey all over the cottage for what Oliver says is the past 2 weeks, which I don't think adds up with this timeline. But here's the thing. Oliver's gloves, they're old. He was celibate for a long time. He wasn't getting any action. And one breaks. 2 days later, Xandy's period is late. I was listening to this in the car. I was listening to the audiobook, and I literally screamed, "No!" That's right, folks. We've got a pregnancy. That was a jump scare. That felt like a trick. It felt like, Sierra Simone, you knew you were going to do this from the beginning, but you didn't tell me? You didn't tell me we were going to end with a pregnancy trope. I need a trigger warning. You're just going to throw in a little pregnancy at the end? Oh my gosh. I was instantly in a bad mood. I'm in a bad mood now, just thinking about it. So I listened to the rest of the book in 1.5 speed after that because I was like, no, thank you. And so the following day, she gets a pregnancy test and ta-da! She's pregnant. So we're at day 24. 24 days of knowing each other. 24. Xandy's like, oh my God, I love Professor Graham. Now I'm carrying his child. So romantic. But also, she absolutely knows with certainty that he will be angry at her for this, because that makes sense, and want her to leave. Girl, what? How do you know that? How? Also, they were his gloves, and he is half of the DNA, okay? So actually, it doesn't really matter what he thinks, because, hello, child sports do. I was going to slam this down, but I did break one of these the other day, and this is my last one, my last yellow wine glass. I broke both of the pink ones. Anyway, so she decides that she is going to keep the baby because she makes like a spreadsheet and stuff with her options. Nerd. But she also decides she's not going to tell Oliver. Oliver sees her and he's like, you look tired. Tucks her in for a nap, keeps calling her girl, which I hate, but it's the following day and he still doesn't know. Day 26 of knowing each other, by the way. Xandy tells him that she's pregnant. That's good, right? Xandy, good job. That's the responsible thing to do. But she doesn't tell him like a normal person. She tells him while they are doing the nasty, unprotected, by the way, very unsafe. And she tells him, oh, don't worry about it. We don't need to use a glove because I'm pregnant. Surprise. Oh, and before she tells him that she's pregnant, he says, I love you. The biggest eye roll that I can do actually is going to give me a headache. And then she says, oh my God, you love me? I'm pregnant. Xandy, time and place. But she's like, I know we are unwanted. We as in Xandy and her embryo. And Oliver's like, what do you don't know what I want. Okay. He's silent. His thoughts are racing. I mean, damn, this is a shock. This is a shock. Oliver deserves a minute to process this information. Like, fuck. But he goes into like full planning mode, which is something Xandy would totally do. So I feel like she should understand this. But he's like, oh my God, I'm going to be a father. We're going to have to deal with you. Like, I need to change jobs. I need to get a higher paying job. And you need to deal with your visa. I know. We'll get married so that you can have your visa earlier. And we need to get you prenatal care. I mean, he's going on and on and on. But Xandy is like, I don't want to feel like a burden or an obligation, which I get. Like, who wants to be told that they need to get married for convenience? Nobody likes that. Except a marriage of convenience trope. I like those. But in this case, no. I get where Xandy was feeling hurt by this interaction. But she packs up and leaves while he's in planning mode. Like, she walks out. And I just have the hardest time believing that anybody wouldn't notice a full human packing up her stuff, like at least one big suitcase, and leaving, and he just wouldn't notice that? His own home? Zandy's home. She's in the US. A few days later, she's getting an ultrasound. So cute. And Oliver walks in and he's like, I love you and I want the baby. And they're like, oh, and they kiss. And, it's cute to some people. Okay, but here's the thing. I thought, okay, we've got a pregnancy trope. A trope, that's just a thing that happens a lot in books and movies. It's just a thing, a literary device. Is it a literary device? I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about. But I didn't think that it was a pregnancy kink. That is, until the epilogue, in which Oliver refers to her, I can't look you in the eye while I say this, milk-heavy breasts and round rump. And he checks her out while she's breastfeeding their son. No. Oh my God. No. Yep. So I would say that that's a little bit more than the pregnancy trope. I would say that was a lot. That was a little lot. That was a little lot for me. As I was reading the book, maybe the first half, I thought, you know what? This is cute. I like the spice. I like a little professor student thing. Like, okay, that's fun. I felt like the storyline was, it fit into the trope of like mistaken identity, but it was original and I was liking it. And Sierra Simone knows how to write smut. So I was enjoying it. And I thought, this is a solid 3.5 star read. Like, I'm enjoying this. And the further we went in the book, the lower the stars got until I must give this book 2 stars. 2.5? I don't know. Don't compare this to anybody else's star rating. I don't know how to review books. I've never done this before. This is not supposed to be very profesh. Clearly, but I'm going to give it 2 stars. It really, really could have been 3 if it didn't end with a pregnancy. I could have even forgiven delicious organ. I could have, but then they had to bring in a pregnancy. No, I've read other stuff from Sierra Simone and I liked it. Okay. So we're just going to pretend that this isn't a part of her library. Okay. But you know what? We all start somewhere. I don't know. Is this an older book? I actually don't even know that either. I found Xandy to be endearing and also dumb as rocks. And that was so annoying. But like Xandy's 22, but Oliver, he's older. He's just a doofus. Like, just spank her. Stop whining about it. God, you like what you like. Move on with your life. Shit. A pregnancy. I'm still mad about that. I'm still mad. If you like a pregnancy trope, comment below. Explain yourself. This is the first in what I hope to be a series of these drunk reviews, book reviews. Will I be drunk every time? I don't know. Will they always be books? I don't know. But if you have any recommendations for romance novels, especially the weird ones, like monster romance, let me know. Drop them in the comments below. I'd love to read them and review them. Okay, bye.